Stewie2k is now in a Team Liquid jersey. He had a pretty big performance at the iBuyPower Masters, Team Liquid obviously winning it, and then beating Astralis in the grand final. Stewie had a particularly big performance on Dust 2, so I thought I'd break that down for you right now. But just before I do, I want to know about Epics. It's an app for both Android and iOS where you can trade and collect digital cards from top teams such as Astralis, MIBR and Na'Vi. And of course, there's heaps of different rarities which lead into the leaderboard system, be the best of a certain team or overall. There's the new relics, which are skins players have used in certain big tournaments, and there's sets only available right now in the beta, so check out the link in the description below and join me in collecting all these awesome cards. Hey guys, what is going on? So Stewie, he's managed to come into Team Liquid and they've straight away beaten Astralis in a grand final, something they couldn't do throughout the entirety of 2018. So was Stewie the difference maker? I want to see more tournaments to find out, but I think we get a pretty good debate going. I'm sure the Europeans might disagree with the North Americans. Now Stewie doesn't have a particularly interesting role in this round, but he does play it quite well. First off, notice they've given him the smoke criminal role. He's got a smoke down in front of him and he's got to pick his timing when to come through this smoke and apply pressure. Because if you look at the strategy from Team Liquid, it is just a B split with majority of your players coming through this middle area. And even with 3 players on the site from Astralis, what this smoke does in front of Stewie is it makes it very difficult for these Astralis players to know whether they have to fight tunnels or fight outside or where exactly to look, because they're not sure when Stewie's going to come out of this smoke and when he's going to apply his pressure. So you can see at the moment they're all focusing towards middle, but Stewie's job is to try and draw some attention back his way, and because they don't know there's only one player behind this smoke, they're not really sure exactly where to look. So you can see he's going to come out here, just jumping around, making himself very difficult to hit, just drawing the attention of Glaive. Even Magisk, you can see he was looking that way. You can see him flicking up right now to Elise. Take my word for it, I watched it, I'm not that good of an observer, but look at what he does to this defense. Glaive is like, okay, where's Stewie? He's just cut out shots, he jumped up into that box very quickly and disappeared. You can see from his screen right now. He's not in a good way. Stewie's behind the smoke, he's very hard to hit, but Elise says, thank you very much. This is going to be one of the easiest kills of my life. Run on towards Glaive, and then once this comes in, once Elise takes this contact, Stewie fully reveals himself coming out of the smoke just a second ago. Again, my observing is apparently pretty bad today, but you get the idea. He's going to come out and Magisk is basically pincered between 2 players. So I love the fact that they give Stewie the role of coming through the smoke, being annoying around that smoke, picking his timing to come out. He does it very well, as you saw from Glaive's point of view, and then knowing when to push out even further to take out Magisk. Triple pick onto Zip, not even he can deal with that. Another interesting thing was Stewie seemed to be picking up the AWP more in this Dust 2 match. I didn't watch other matches, so I'm not sure if this is a continual thing from him, but he does seem to be AWPing over Nitro on this particular map. And I love his patience right here. He gets the good B spawn if you notice at the very beginning, and he takes this pick on towards Dupree. What I love right now is the fact that Elise is here with him, and they know that most likely they have a 2v1 in this scenario, as basically all the time teams start with a 3v1 towards that A site, or sorry, 3 players defending either in the long control or going up short or something. You see exactly what's going on. So I love the fact that as soon as they punish Dupree for trying to get this information early on, obviously Stewie getting the good spawn helps, they're trying to both collapse on towards Magisk here. And unfortunately, I'm going to spoil it for you, it doesn't go too well. Stewie's trying to check the middle of the site, trying to stop any rotations. You can see they know exactly where Magisk is. Magisk wins the fight onto Elise. You can see the angle he took right there. But I still love the fact that they're ready to accelerate here. And it definitely, a 2v1, that's pretty much the round over if they win this 2v1 on Magisk. So I really like the push from Team Liquid here. Stewie and Elise, quick communication, they're both going to go out. And you can see what the rest of Team Liquid's doing. They're thinking, they're confident in this. They're like, all right, I'm coming over here. Nitro's like, I got the bomb, I'm on my way. Exact same thing with Twist. Unfortunately, though, the flash comes in. Stewie pushes forward. I still like this. He's prepared to continue to push the issue. He knows he has to try and collapse on Magisk as quick as possible. Because what's Magisk going to be doing in this situation? When you're playing on a good team like Astralis, you're going to be delaying and just trying to stay alive, so that players such as Zip can get in here, throw his supportive flashes, and lock this one down. Stewie keeps pushing the issue, wants to try and get in here. Unfortunately for him, this is what Device does as he tries to cross these doors. So that's the end of Stewie. However, I still really like this play from Elise and Stewie, pushing in, taking that potential 2v1, because if they win that, as I said, that's the round over. Doesn't look too graceful. Stewie gets that first kill, Elise doesn't get any kills at all, but I think that was a very good decision. I love the quick thinking coming out from Team Liquid. So round 20 is probably one of my favourite rounds from Stewie, despite the fact he only gets one kill in this particular one. If you look at long control, you can see that Team Liquid do a very good job of locking it down. But what Stewie's going to do, as we turn our attention back there in a second, is he does a very good job of boxing this last player in, who's going to be Glaive. I made a video very recently about Zipex, there we go, winning out clutches on certain different rounds throughout 2018, and a lot of the time it was because players would push further than they could in towards his contacts. You can see, as they got the information, Glaive just got a kill. Stewie moves in to try and limit Glaive's options once they already know where he is, and you see he moves and just stops at this barrel right now, because he knows if I push any further, Glaive could be coming back out these doors, because obviously the timing's there for that. And I want you to notice when Stewie moves, it all depends on, as soon as they spot Glaive, Stewie takes another little bit of ground without overextending, because he doesn't want to give away this 1v1 where he has an unfavorable advantage, such as we saw many times players do to Zip in that previous video. I think at this point, I think you may as well just go watch the video if you haven't already seen it. But I want you to notice, we're going to watch Glaive. As soon as he takes a little bit of contact here in a second, sees that player, Stewie's moving. He's boxing this guy in a little bit more. He takes this angle and he stops. He's going to be walking. He says not there. And now he's taking his extended advantage. And you see, Glaive is still fighting out here. So he knows he can get into an even better spot before he's going to sit here. He's like, all right, I've pretty much found the best spot I can get. It's going to be very unlikely that Glaive expects me here. And he's just going to stop. There's no pushing further. There's no pushing the issue, giving Glaive this potential opening. He's just going to move around and try and support his players out long. Must have been some information that those players were there, so I wanted to flash over to them. You can see it's pretty much right that Glaive wants to try and come out here. He's going to take it at leash. But as we fast forward this one, Stewie hasn't moved an inch. He's going to take this angle. And you can see this is going to be his only kill, but it's an important one because Glaive seemed to be on for a clutch here. Again, I said Alicia's kill was pretty easy earlier. That one probably even easier. So that's a great example right there of just slowly creeping in on your opponent when there's one opponent left with the information you have, not pushing too far, not trying to take a fight that's not favorable to you. Always just taking the fight that makes the most sense, and there's no need to rush the issue. And this is pretty good from Stu, because I know some other NA players who would definitely try and get in there and just brawl on with Glaive. Now, for those of you that haven't worked it out from that rotation clip, Stewie is the B player for Team Liquid, it seems, sitting here with both an AWP and an AUG. You can see in this scenario, and he loves to play this black box. And I love how he crouches here sometimes, doesn't show his presence. Some players like to hold the angle, but he jiggles up and down and makes it even more difficult for the T side. But honestly, that's just a little thing. Notice straight away he repositions once Magic spots him, because obviously he doesn't want to have his location known. They could isolate that with a Molotov, as we saw Stewie do, actually within the pistol round. Now at this point here, Stewie works out he's in a little bit of trouble. It is 3v4. He's got the B site to protect from all different directions. You can see Naf is in this position, Twist is from here. They've been brought over here. Naf hasn't been able to rotate because Glaive was applying pressure towards this short area. That's the utility you see. And what I love from Stewie is once he realizes this can happen, is he's not trying to wildly swing between all positions. He picks a spot that he thinks is most likely for a player to come from, and he sticks with it. So you can see there's only one swap in this. He holds out tunnels before he realizes, okay, now got to be uppers, and he waits for that player to come at him, obviously Dupree making quite a bit of noise, and then he comes back and watches tunnels. He's not trying to swing wildly, he only swaps his crosshair once, and he comes back and he's trying to the next angle. Now at this point here is where I love what Stewie does. He knows he's tagged Magisk quite low, and he also knows if he stays in the position he's in, he's just going to get collapsed. Magisk probably just disappearing for a second to try and regroup with the rest of his team. Again, maybe it wasn't Glaive, maybe it was Zip who was applying pressure towards short. They know there was some presence there. So Magisk probably just trying to regroup with the rest of his team to really lock Stewie down. So he makes a play. He knows, I can't just sit here, I have to push one way or another. And he decides to push towards tunnels. One thing to notice here is 5 bullets left. I'm not sure if it was an oversight from him not to reload, but he ends up pushing in here. Maybe he didn't want to reload while crossing the site. I can understand that, but 5 bullets isn't that many bullets. So I still enjoy the play though, because you can see he knows, all right, I've got a player low towards tunnels. They're probably going to split on me, which means probably at least one player towards this mid area and make my defense even more difficult because he knows they have control of that area. So I'm going to push towards this player that is low, even though it requires a little bit of risk of me crossing the site. Also, they're probably not expecting so much for him to push out here towards tunnels. You can see actually, if he had pushed outside, Device is very much aware of this, because obviously that's the easy push for Stewie to make. He's nice and close to that window. Well, I'll just peek here because I've got to take an angle somewhere. I can't just sit here and let some collapse on me. He decides to take this angle again because the player's low. I really like this one. And this round actually probably didn't run if he'd reloaded, because you can see it's zipped down to 14 HP. Obviously the trade comes in. At that point, it's very difficult for Naf to win this 2v1 with the AWP. So he decides just to save in the end. But I still love the decision from Stewie. And that's the way you have to defend these B sites. It's just pick one angle, stick to it, and then swap to the other. There's no point wildly swinging everywhere as I see a lot of amateur players do, because all you're going to do is just never have your crosshair anywhere useful. You're going to be a lot more time in between aiming at two angles. Whereas if you just pick one, maybe swap once based on the information you have. And then the push I really enjoy as well. If only to reloaded, this map could have ended just a little bit earlier. And then, of course, the final round of the half. And again, Stew's going to bring his scope weapon here towards B, taking some very aggressive angles and angles you wouldn't normally aim at. We saw when Stewie himself peeked out towards B, he was aiming at this lower angle, expecting Dupree to peek there. You're probably not expecting someone to peek up nice and high on top of the box, because you are exposing a lot more of your body. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but it also makes sense because it is what a lot of people would call an off angle. Now, Stewie, after waiting, narrows his angle in here, waiting for Magis to peek. And then, of course, if you're going to go for this kind of peak where you're stuck on the right side of sight, you're going to make sure you have some utility left. Just flashes himself quite nicely out of the way. And again, we're going to see a B split coming in from Astralis. And once Nitro gets taken out, you can see it's actually a pretty good idea from Astralis. They've got a good read in the situation. There's only one player over here towards B in Stewie2k, and he's just going to beat this back box, hiding again, as we said he'd like to do earlier. And as this one finishes off, it's just going to be Stewie doing some smoke criminal things. And they're the images I'm going to leave you right there. There's a smoke dropped. You guys enjoy. So make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. And I will, of course, catch you all in the next video.